There you are. Great to see you. All right. We're going to have some time to open up to questions, but what we're going to talk about today, besides learning how to close the deal, okay? What we're going to discuss today, this will change your life. At least for me, this changed my life more than anything else, okay? If you pay attention to what we're going to talk about in the session today and you implement some of the things that we're going to talk through, hopefully you can participate a little bit and we'll talk through. I am telling you, your life will change, and it will change permanently, and it will change for the better. There's something that everybody screws up in the world of sales, in the world of business development, that keeps them locked into, for lack of a better word, being a seller, being a salesperson. I don't want any of you on these coaching calls. I want you to get to a point where you leave all that behind and you're no longer a seller. You transition. You get to the level, you become elite enough to where you're the buyer. And what I mean by that is, even though you're selling your services, your solutions, your product, yourself, you come off as the buyer. You have confidence. You're calm. You're making just as much of this decision as the customer's making it. And they feel that. They want to do business with you because you seem different. You are different. You sound different. You're cool. You're confident. You're productive. You're not a spaz. You're not, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Right? If you buy this, your life's going to change. Your company's going to go great. Nobody wants to do business with people that sound like that. Yet we all have to. And it annoys all of us in our personal day-to-day. It annoys you. And that we do the same things over and over again. And one of the biggest areas, the area that I want to talk about today, the biggest difference where this is the most visible, besides your close and your ability to close, is your follow-up. It's a complete disaster. I'm not saying yours is a complete disaster, but I'm saying in general, in the world of sales, in the world of business development, follow-up is the most screwed up thing that we do. A lot of us don't even do it. I had a person come out to my house, measure, do all of this stuff, $23,000 worth of carpet in our Denver house, sent me a quote, asked him a few questions, gave him a few little bit of pushback, because that's what I do. I wanted to see how he'd handle the objections. You know how he handled the objection? Just never followed up with me. I don't know what the going rate for commissions on just under $25,000 worth of carpet is, but my guess is it would have behooved that individual to follow up with me. I've still got the carpet I hate at my house right now, waiting for the guy to follow up. What are some of the things that annoy you in terms of follow-up when people are trying to sell to you? What are some of the things that get under your skin a little bit? Have you tried to buy something and not had somebody follow up? Have you had them follow up unskillfully? If so, can you unmute yourself and give the group an example of some bad follow-up?
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I find it's too hard and too often. They don't give you a chance to sit on what they provided. They don't say, how about I give you a call tomorrow at 4 or something specific. It's they provide something and then they just inundate you with email after email or phone call after phone call. And for me, that's the biggest push off.
Yeah.
Put off.
Let's talk. What are some of the nonstop annoying emails that you've gotten? Have you gotten this one, Matt? Just bumping this up to the top. You gotten that one?
Yeah. Or you've talked about it before. Just the generic. Just following up on that quote I sent you.
Yeah.
Checking in.
Dropping the.
Chance to look at it. Have you had a chance to talk to your wife?
Dropping the F word, right? Just following up. Yeah. Just checking in. Right? Again,
I say, listen, give me a couple days. They never give me the couple days, and that's the biggest one. They're not doing business with me if they don't give me the couple days I asked for.
For sure. And think about how that reeks of them being the seller, right? If they were the buyer, you can both simultaneously be the buyer. You can both have the confidence of being the buyer. And if you don't believe me, I want you to think about, God forbid, what if you had a brain tumor, right? But you had billions of dollars and you could afford the best brain surgeon in the world, probably going to come to you from India. I don't know why it is, but most great brain surgeons are from India. And do you think that person would be desperate? Do you think they would be constantly slamming you? Or would they be cool, calm, collected? Right? Yeah, Matt, totally makes sense. Take the weekend, talk it over with your family. I'll circle back with you. Let's call it Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. if I haven't heard from you before then. Right? They're the buyer just as much as you're the buyer. Does anyone else want to give some examples of poor follow-up?
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, for sure.
Not adding any value to the follow-up where, like, for example, I was speaking to someone today and they mentioned that there was a 5-day money-back guarantee. Mm-hmm. That put me over the edge. It made it a non-issue for me. And that just adding value to follow-up really helps, I think. I don't know what other people think.
Yeah, being skillful, right? Adding value. One thing I want to caution us on, though, is not constantly making the deal better every time we follow up, because that actually does the inverse, right? Like if there's a 5-day money back guarantee that you weren't aware of and I make you aware of it, that's great. But what I don't want you doing is calling them back 3 days later and saying, hey, the price is now dropped less, because you're training that person not to do business with you. But adding value, I like that. Okay. Who else? Does anybody else have any examples of poor follow-up?
I'll just reiterate what you just said, Mr. Russell. Because,
hey, Russ.
Hey, yeah, so if I say I'm going to sell you this for $2,000 and then tomorrow morning I say $1,600, I'm not going to, what would get me is if someone offered me a taste of it, be it a trial this week for your call or a trial this next week for whatever product, saying, let me just show you what this is. That would be more advantageous to me versus someone just dropping the prices aggressively. I think it's not worth it then.
I agree with you, Russell. And part of that becoming a buyer and not a seller, and part of getting you to that level of confidence is to where you're able to say things like, hey, no sweat, like let's say it's something in your world, Russell, a piece of property, right? If calling to see if it makes sense to put an offer on that condo that we looked at, I know there's a lot of offers coming in on it. If for some reason we lose this one, no sweat, I'll work with you and we'll find the next best one, right? Versus, hey, Russell, right? We looked at that condo, tick tock, tick tock. If you don't jump on it, man, somebody is going to take it. You don't want to lose your condo, right? That's a seller. A buyer that's cool, calm, confident, and collected is able to say things like, hey, no sweat. If we lose this one, I'll work with you to find the next best one. You have to have that confidence to where if this deal's not going to happen, you're just as okay walking away from the deal as the customer is. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how we can be more skillful in follow-up. Guys, I want you to become just as much of a buyer as the buyer. I want you to have power. I want you to have integrity. I want you to have authority. I want you to have credibility. I want you to be cool, calm, and collected. Okay? One of the first things that you have to realize is follow-up, the biggest mistake we make with it is we make it too complicated. Okay, just as it was alluded to earlier, too much pressure, too much emotion, too much bang, 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 bang. Just be cool, calm, and collected in a simple way is whatever it is you wanted that person to do. Ask them if it makes sense to blank. It sounds like this. Hey, Russell, Matt Easton, founder of Easton University, calling to see if it makes sense to put your team on board with the sales coaching at eastonuniversity.com. I'm on my mobile 720-660-3202, right? That's a much more skillful follow-up than, hey, Russell, Matt Easton University, brother. Man, I hope you had a great long weekend. Fantastic weekend. Just following up, just checking in. See if you guys are ready to go with the sales coaching. And I know I'm taking it a little bit over the top there, but I'm kind of not. A lot of sales reps go to that area, right? And it's like, smell that commission breath. right? They sound like a seller. They don't sound like a buyer. They don't sound like a trusted authority. Now, if you're what I would like you guys to be, if you're NSO, next step obsessed, you could put my two favorite words in front of that. Hey, Nancy, Matt Easton, founder of Easton University. As promised, it's noon on Wednesday Mountain. Calling to see if it makes sense to get this in front of the board there at Veradigm. Give me a call on my mobile, 720-660-3202. Cool, calm, collected. I'm just as much of a buyer of that deal as Nancy is. We are two professionals working together on that project, right? Back to the person I was talking about earlier with the $23,000 carpet follow-up. Hey, Matt, it's Brad with Carpet Exchange. Just calling to see if it makes sense to get you on the calendar to install that carpet. I'm available here at 720-660-3202. Brad just didn't follow up with me at all. Okay? Another unskillful thing, what if Brad did and was like, hey Brad, we got a Memorial Day sale. If you don't jump on this, the sale's gonna go away. Which is why I'm not a big fan of sales and promotions. Okay? When you guys can get, and you have to trust me on this, but when you can get cool, calm, collected with your follow-up, and you do it, and you do it without emotion, you almost become like Sully Sullivan, the guy that landed the plane on the Hudson River. We're going to go ahead and land on the Hudson, right? This is the tower. Say again. Yeah, we're going in the Hudson, right? Would you like a runway at Teterboro? Negative. Unable. Would you like a runway at Kennedy? Unable. We'll be in the Hudson, right? When you can become Sully Sullivan, you are going to start landing deals. You're going to land them on the runway. You're going to land them in the Hudson. You're going to land them in a field. You're going to start closing all of your deals. Here's the other thing that I need you guys to do, and I need you to be honest with yourself. Is follow-up something that you have it down to a science, where you say exactly the same thing every time? Less is more. Have your follow-up very simple. If you're waiting for a contract to be signed, my recommendation to you is, hey Nancy, Matt Easton with Easton University calling to see if it makes sense to sign that agreement. I'm on my mobile, 720-660-3202, right? And now to the point made earlier, I'm not going to call Nancy back tomorrow. I'm going to call Nancy back in a week or whatever my schedule says. And by the way, I have a schedule, and I'm following that schedule, and I'm taking the emotion out of it. I'm not, I really need this deal with Nancy. I'm going to call her every day until she gets a restraining order or buys from me. No, Nancy's following my process. And if I find that my process is broken, guess what I do? Like my good friend Jeff Bezos, I adjust the process. I don't do things organically and individually for each customer. I don't develop a process for each customer. That's not how Amazon became big. Amazon became big by going, what's the process that every customer is going to follow, right? And in a week, guess what? I'm going to leave the exact same message for Nancy. Where so many people screw up is they think this is theater. They think they're being scored on originality. And they put a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of fluff, a bunch of gobbledygook in their follow-up. Which is why they stop doing it really quickly. Because that sucks. That's difficult. Nobody wants to spend their day going, hey, happy Wednesday to you. Hope you had a long extended weekend, being fake friends with people. I want you guys to be like a brain surgeon. Hey, calling to see if it makes sense to get this in front of the board. Calling to see if it makes sense for us to do a trial of the software. Right? Cool, calm, collected. You guys need to have a cadence. We talk about it in Easton University, the cadence of when you do things. And I can't make up your cadence. But what I will tell you is this, to the point beginning, less is more, as long as the less is cool, calm, collected, and consistent. I'm going to repeat that because it's really important. Probably most of the people on this call, all of the people outside of this call, because you guys are elite black belts, are not consistent. Not at all, not even close. Okay? And I'm asking you, I'm challenging you to look at your CRM, look at whatever system you're using and going, do I have a system in place? Do I know what I'm going to say when I follow up? Do I know when that follow-up is going to happen? Right? One of the things that we've invented at Easton University that I believe within the next 10 years is going to be commonplace in all sales is the concept of the sustainable pipeline. I am not about buy or die. I'm not about calling Nancy every single day until she gets a restraining order against me. I'm also not about calling Nancy once and going, well, deal's not going to happen, and then wasting a bunch of marketing's money, burning through another inbound opportunity. I'm about being cool, calm, collected, following a checklist. I sent Nancy this. I'm going to follow back with her in 7 days. Then if I don't hear from her, I'm going to call her back in 2 weeks. Then I'm going to call her back in another 2 weeks. Okay? Now I've called her 3 times in the first month. Now I'm going to call her once a month for 3 months. And then after 90 days at this point, because now it's been 90 days plus 1 month, it's 120 days, she's going back in my sustainable pipeline. To which I'm going to call her in 6 months from that time saying, hey Nancy, I've got an idea that I want to get your opinion on. Or depending on the deal and my cadence, I'm going to ask Nancy if she's given up. Hey Nancy, call and see if you've given up on the sales coaching with Easton University, right? A Hail Mary last ditch. Be careful with those. Use those with caution, but they work. But the thing is, if you want to take your career to the next level, you've got to take the emotion out of this. You've got to take the artist out of this. You've got to take the impromptu actor out of this. And you've got to follow a clear, consistent process for follow-up. This is what's going to take you to the next level. Knowing how to close, which you guys have all the access to learn on Easton University on the closing courses. Simple, right? If you can close and you can follow up, you will triple your income. Even not knowing how to prospect, even not knowing how to handle objections, even not knowing how to manage your pipeline, which I can help you with all of that stuff. But these are the 2 things, closing and following up. If you can get great at these, you will be precise, you will be efficient, you will sound different, you will seem different, you will be different, you will be viewed just as much of a buyer as the customer is. And you won't be sending things like, I got one this morning, go Rams, because somebody had went into my LinkedIn and saw where I went to college 30 years ago. I cared less about the football team then, I could care less now. Stop it, right? What if that email, what if the heading was their name and their phone number, and it said mobile, and they said, hey Matt, you and I are connected on LinkedIn, I've got an idea I want to get your opinion on. It would be next to impossible for me to not call them. But go Rams, I literally put this is spam. Okay, so now their little whatever in LinkedIn, it's not good. It's not skillful, right? Bumping this up to the top. Or I just wanted to check and see if you're dead. These are emails that people like me get every day. Don't be the person on the other side sending an email like that. Okay, what questions do we have on follow-up?